and let us all do we can to build a better future. We are going to move on to our first segment. So there we go. All right, let's go on and start with our first story. So, 2024 is around the corner. And no, I'm not going to talk about Trump running again, because, again, we've covered on this show, and I've done a few live streams about the potential of Trump running again in 2024. And I think we all can agree we're all going to be surprised if he does not. But I want to talk about the Democrats and what their 2024 election cycle will look like. So will it be, I don't know, Yang, Warren, Kamala, Bernie? Hold on, we got this video from Case Study QB, and I also got an article from RT America. So first, let's pull up this video. We are talking to our good friends at Fox and Friends. We're going to talk about maybe Biden not running again in 2024, because it turns out there might be some trouble in paradise for the Biden-Harris administration and their plans on running again in 2024. Let's play this first video segment.
Well, is the Biden-Harris dream team suddenly Democrats' worst nightmare? That's the focus of a new Fox News op-ed as Colin Reed evaluates several crises that have marked the first year of Joe Biden's presidency. This, as the commander-in-chief is reportedly considering a run for re-election. Republican strategist Colin Reed joins us now. Colin, thanks for being here. Never too early to play the speculation game, which is what you did here. But when Joe Biden insists and his other advisors insist he's going to run again, it doesn't sound very full-throated. There's plenty of room for them to change their mind, and it seems that's what most Democrats are thinking.
Well, that's the amazing part, Pete, is it's been an open secret, I think, in Washington, D.C. that Joe Biden is not going to run again. Of course, he has to say he is, because if he doesn't, the wolves immediately start circling. But right before the Thanksgiving break, even Democrats are out there saying, hey, this guy, he can't run again. And that's pretty remarkable that less than 10 months into the administration, neither the president nor the vice president, for that matter, are qualified or capable of leading their ticket in the next election. That's a pretty amazing scene. We haven't even got to the midterms yet, and already there's nothing going on beyond right now.
So Joe Biden's poll numbers have tanked. Kamala Harris's are 10 points worse. Usually the vice president, especially the first woman of color vice president.
So again, hey, vote blue no matter who. You didn't think anyone was going to notice or remember the 2020 primary, the debates, or the fact that Biden and Harris have a terrible political history and they got skeletons in their own fair shares closets? How can anyone forget just how unpopular these two were and how the entire 2020 primary was rigged in order to favor Biden? Because let's face it, the establishment was going to do everything they could to make sure that Bernie wasn't going to be the nominee or any other progressive. But sadly, the Democratic Party and a lot of Democratic candidates just let themselves get steamrolled by the establishment. No one pushed back. And all of the Democratic primary candidates in the 2020 election cycle, from Bernie to Warren to Pete Buttigieg to Tulsi to Yang, all of them endorsed Biden. That guy. And nothing fundamentally changed. And who did he pick as his vice president? Maybe a strong contender who came in second place? Maybe Bernie? Oh, wait, no. He went for the candidate whose campaign went bankrupt, had 0 delegates, and was never really popular in the first place. Again, Democrats. This is especially vote blue no matter who, and Democratic establishment and blue checkmark and cul-de-sac progressives. You carried water for the Democratic establishment. And who's being screwed over? Working class citizens. Voters see this. And it's like as though we already talked about this on Hardlines. We mentioned this so many times. This was an epic failure, especially for this kind of campaign ticket. And now this administration is dealing with so much BS. Stuff that they created. And well, it's only fair for everyone to really question, do we really want these two to run again in 2024? Because chances are, like how the 2022 midterm election cycle will play out in 2024, it's going to be a disaster. Let's play the rest of the video.
It would be right there, you would think, to be the standard bearer for the party. But her name's barely mentioned, almost passed over quickly. Where do they go to look for a nominee? And is there any way for it to be orderly, or is this going to turn into a food fight?
Well, that was kind of where I went with the piece, Pete, is that there's no bench. There's just nothing beyond there. And if I struggled really hard to come up with some names. A lot of the contenders are either, getting too long in the tooth, or they're too young in the case of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, at least for now. So unless there's some Barack Obama-esque figure waiting in the wings who's going to burst onto the national scene and save the party, it seems hard to see. And with all the speculation, all the media focus on the Republican side, the party in charge right now.
I found it interesting that he mentioned, oh, we need a Barack Obama kind of figure. Same kind of Barack Obama who led us from 2 wars to 7, got rid of habeas corpus, and also, again, prosecuted and went after a lot of whistleblowers and investigative journalists. Yeah, that's the last thing we need, another carbon copy of a Barack Obama. So, there we go. It's very interesting. The Democratic establishment could have avoided this nightmare. And if there were candidates that had the courage and strength to really stand up to the establishment and not let themselves get walked over, and all the while at the same time, too, defend their supporters, especially when election fraud was taking place, maybe the Democrats would be in a different position. But obviously, if you want something done right, stop talking about reforming the Democratic Party. And no, I'm not saying endorse the Republican Party, because the Republican Party is just as bad as the Democratic Party. I'm saying now's the time to start supporting activists and group initiatives to actually bring in change. Start supporting ballot initiatives. Start actually building infrastructure for real third parties. It's time for us to walk away from this two-party system, because obviously if you're going to try and find hope in the Democratic Party, I'm so sorry, your heart might be in the right place, but you're wasting your time. Let's play the rest of this video.
Is leaderless, essentially. And this might be the high point for all we know, because as the clock ticks, we're already almost in December. There's no legislative accomplishments to point to. And if we start going into another discussion and All right,
I believe there's a second video in that Twitter thread for Case Study QB. So while we get that set up, look, because this article, especially from RT America, is kind of interesting, too. Because if it does play out to where it's another clown car circus like we saw in the primary, or like how Chicago had to deal with it for its Democratic mayors in 2019, I don't think I'll be able to hold my anger back because of how pathetic things are. Because chances are there's going to be a crowded field, and there's going to be a whole bunch of Democratic candidates, each one saying things that maybe we all like to hear, Medicare for all, UBI, but they'll never deliver on it. And they're going to go for the weakest neoliberal establishment safe pick. How's that turning out for us right now? Because again, look, Democrats, you might have beaten Trump in 2020, but let's be clear here. He's running again in 2024. That's not going to stop him. He's going to run again. Anyways, let's play the rest of this video from Case Study QB. Again, be sure to support his work. He does a fantastic job on Twitter. And be sure to check out his YouTube channel and Odyssey page as well. Let's play the rest of this face.
About COVID, and it's the latest variant, that's just going to sidetrack things even further. Joe Biden's presidency is at the mercy of the pandemic, and that's unfortunate, and that's not a position that any politician should put themselves in, but it's the bar he set when he said he was going to, quote, crush the virus when he was running last year. So he set the bar for success.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he set the bar and he fell short.
You speculated with Bernie Sanders, he's 80. You speculated with Comrade Cortez, she's 32, barely meets the threshold by 2024. Then you threw some names out there, Hillary Clinton and John Kerry. I mean, do you really think they would go backwards in 2024? Or, you know, the name everyone's talking about right now is Pete Buttigieg.
Well, right. And I mean, we could only be so lucky if we had folks like Hillary Clinton and John Kerry decide to throw their hat in the ring. Usually elections are about the past, the future, not the past. Those two are certainly vestiges of the past. And as for Biden, look, with the possible exception of Tom Brady, Father Time waits for no one. So these numbers are just not going in the right direction for them. Yeah. And again, they need someone to come out of the wings and save them from themselves. But that person, whoever he or she is hard to find.
Yeah, not to mention voters are rejecting the policies they're attempting to put in place, and their lives are getting worse in the process. Colin Reed, thank you so much.
I have a short confession to say. After 2016, I had the audacity to have hope. I know, hold on. I had hope that 2020 would be different. I had hope that maybe the progressive movement and Bernie Sanders and a few other progressive candidates would be ready for the 2020 primary, that there'd be this real movement for pushback, real change. I held on to hope. I'm so sorry. If anything, look, I know it's not my fault, but I got to apologize for something. I apologize for holding on to hope. I was one of those people like, you know what? Just wait. Just give it one more minute. I think let's just try. Let's just try. And what a mistake that was. Ah, well. Live and learn. 2024, Hillary Clinton running again. And probably maybe going up against Trump. But anyways, found this article from RT America. Turns out, top Democrats' 2024 presidential election list revealed if Biden doesn't run. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, mind you, again, whose numbers are failing, and former First Lady Michelle Obama would, by a wide margin, be the Democratic Party's top choice for presidential election of 2024 if the incumbent President Joe 30330 does not run, a new poll shows. According to the Hill-Harris-X poll revealed on Friday, Harris enjoys support of 13% of Democrats asked, while Obama, who insists that she does not have presidential ambitions despite her popularity among Democratic voters, received 10%. Other candidates, 2020 campaign participants, Senators Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, serving Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and businessman Andrew Yang got the backing of 5% or less. Again, this poll probably done with some nice suburban people. But anyways, who am I to judge? Among the 939 registered voters who took part in the survey on November 18th and 19th, 36% admitted that they were unsure which party choice they'd vote for, while 13% said that they prefer candidates had not been listed. Out of those respondents who voted for Biden in 2020, 22% would be prepared to support Harris. Biden's latest ratings show that his performance has the approval of 42 to 43% of voters, while 50 to 52% are unhappy with the job he's doing. So, Democrats, fools all around, especially when it comes down to the fact that you have failed on all of your campaign promises, especially the progressives in the Democratic Party. You're the ones that decided to give Biden-Harris administration a big, wide room for failure. Not holding his feet to the fire, not pushing him left, not using your own political advantage, your political movements, and your followers the same way Manchin or Sinema uses theirs. Let's face it, 2022 is going to be a slaughter, and 2024 will be, again, a prime example of what will happen in 2022. The Democrats did this to themselves. The establishment did this to themselves. And to anyone that was browbeaten or threatened or yelled at for not voting Democrat, listen. You don't owe anyone an explanation. I'm not going to participate in this two-party system. I refuse to acknowledge it because it's a sick system where nothing changes. If we want to have a better future, citizens all around this country have to step away from the two-party system. This next election cycle in the midterms and in 2024, Hardlens Media is going to cover it. As long as we're still here on YouTube, but we'll also be covering it on Rockford and Odyssey, but things can't continue on as they are. If we just give this a slide, well then, it's going to be a very, very dark future we're walking into.